Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with Game 2 of my ScarabCon 2013 tournament. This is my Beastmen versus a High Elf army. And this is a game I was really excited about because I met this player at the last tournament that I went to about 2 months ago. He introduced himself to me as a fan of my channel, and so we talked quite a bit then, and we had talked this tournament, and then we got matched up against each other. So I thought it was pretty cool. At that last tournament, as well as this tournament, I voted for his army for best painted. There are not enough close-up pictures during this battle report to do justice to his army. I own High Elves and I've tried painting them before, and I cannot do that pretty white color the way that should be done, and he can. So very excited. Two good-looking armies. He brought a very soft High Elf list. If you watched the previous battle report, my first two games were all in the same banding in terms of comp, and he had a softer comp than I did. So here we go, starting at the far right. He actually has a unit of 6 Illyrian Reavers that he left at home. So he has these dogs proxying, which is funny because it's a beautifully painted army and he has these ugly proxies. Anyway, he's got 2 bolt throwers on my right flank, his left. Unit of Spear Elves with his general, which is a mage, and he's sporting high magic, which I thought was really cool. That's actually a really good lore that just doesn't get used enough anymore. He's got some sword masters, Banner of Eternal Flame. The champion has the Amulet of Light, so they have magical attacks. Great Eagles, some bowmen or bow elves, some dragon princes in the back with some white lions up front with his battle standard bearer. He's got a 2-up rerollable, and they have the standard of discipline, so they're rocking leadership 10. And then there's some shadow warriors on the left. So I'm looking at his list, and my thinking is, if I can just get off maybe 2 chariot charges, 2 chariots into his white lions, 2 chariots into his sword masters, I don't care if he kills the chariots. That's all it's going to take to weaken them enough that my minotaurs can take care of those special units. My Doom Bull, if I can get him out of a unit, he can handle another unit on his own, whether it's the dragon princes or whatever. So really, I'm somewhat optimistic about the game. So I've got my chariot, unit of minotaurs. I put them in a narrow formation so I could squeeze everything in. This is a meeting engagement. This is a blood and glory scenario, so we couldn't deploy within 9 inches of the side of the board, with the exception of his scouts, of course. So anyway, that's why I have them narrow. The Doom Bull's in with them. He has to be in the second rank. Behind him is my shaman. Then I've got a few chariots, another Menno unit with my Doom Bull. And then these chariots were over here because I didn't know where he was deploying at the time, and so I was dropping chariots just as a stalling tactic before I could see where he was deploying. So I really don't know what to do with these guys. I kind of like the idea of those 2 chariots at the building coming around and hitting his spear elves, because you just never know. I think when I charge in, I'll win combat. He'll be steadfast, but you never know. I might break him, and if I do, I'll probably run him down. So after Vanguard, his ugly Illyrian Reavers move like that. And we go to High Elf turn 1, and he does what you can see. Now, during the magic phase, he's got the Fury of Cain as a spell, and then he has a bound item with Fury of Cain. So he has some decent ranged attacks, and then of course he has some shooting. So he takes out 1 chariot. Over here, he takes out another chariot. And if I remember correctly, this is a magic phase where the very first spell I tried to dispel, I missed it, and so after that I didn't even have my level 2 bonus to dispel. So he was rocking the magic phase. I think he got the bound spell off, Fury of Cain. He got the real Fury of Cain off. He got the Curse of Arrow Attraction, and then he got Vol's Unmaking, and he targeted my battle standard bearer to try to pull out the ward save, and I had to scroll it. I couldn't stop it with dice, and I just could not let that go through. So we go to Beastman turn 1, and this is what's awkward about my list is I have decent mobility, but I don't have anything ranged, and so I can't force them to come to me. So if I move my chariots up, they're just going to get charged and beat up on. So I'm trying to position it to where maybe I can get the charge next time and him not get the charge on me. I went ahead and threw the Doom Bull out there because, again, I want to get him in combat, get him tied up with something. I'm not really worried about anything in his list hurting the Doom Bull, and he could just be whittling stuff down, and I'm trying to use my Doom Bull to tie some units up so then I can get some counter charges in. Over here, I actually took both chariots into the flank of the Spear Elves and failed with one. And this guy's going alone. So, he's starting off with 3 ranks and a banner. I've got a charge in the flank. I think I'll do at least 2 more wounds at him, so I'll win. He'll be steadfast. He'll probably be okay, but you never know. So there's that. Doombull does not fear these High Elves. Then during the magic phase, I turned my mage into a great black dragon. I think it's the souped up version, but not the mountain chimera. I want him to fly, cause terror, have a flaming attack, and I wanted him to have to use his power dice and his spell to dispel it, or risk my wrath, so to speak. But I rolled irresistible force, then I rolled a 4, then he got sucked into the void, and then one of my chariots failed his panic, and yeah, who needs a mage? So after combat, I win. He was steadfast. He reformed. So now I think he's going to beat the chariot in combat, but I don't think he'll kill me, and I think I'll get away. So I think I might be okay there. Go to High Elf turn 2. He parks an eagle in front of my Doombull, and otherwise moves up very aggressively. I'm not sure what he was doing to the Shadow Warriors besides... well, I think what he was doing was he was blocking my chariot from being able to charge his Dragon Princes. So anyway, he's pretty much sacrificing Shadow Warriors on the left. He's kind of hanging back with the Sword Masters on the right. And during the shooting and or magic, I think during the shooting, these guys, the 2 bolt throwers, picked off this one chariot. After combat, he broke that. And a couple pictures ago, there was actually a blue star by my Doombull, because during the magic phase, he got Vols on making off again and took off the ram horn helm. So now armor saves do not translate into extra attacks for me, and that's a real bummer, because that's what makes the Doombull so awesome. And against High Elves, oh man, that would be fantastic. So I'm a little bit vulnerable there with the Doombull not having the Ramhorn helm. Beastmen turn 2, take the Doombull into the Eagle. I know that I'm going to beat him. I'm going to have to overrun, and he's going to get some charges on me. I'm just hoping that I'm killing enough that I can withstand it and then start countercharging. Take my chariot into a Shadow Warriors. The chariot rallies, but other than that, I can't move up on my right, so I'm hanging back, trying to stay out of range of his Sword Masters. So over here, I'm taking the chariot that was on my very far right, trying to just bring it around away from his bolt throwers as much as possible. The other chariot that broke from combat rallied. There are the charges. Yeah, the eagle's dead. Big bloody feathery mess there in the middle of the table. And the chariot came in, killed only 3 Shadow Warriors, and he stuck. So I was kind of surprised about that. It's not actually a huge deal, but yeah. So High Elf turn 3. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. So he charges his Dragon Princes and his White Lions into my Doombull. And again, other than that, he backs up. He knows he's got me outranged. He can force me to come to him. And actually, the best thing I've going for me is that he was willing to charge my Doombull. If my Doombull can just kill enough to stick, oh, I can charge the heck out of that unit. I can get a Minotaurs in the flank of the Dragon Ogres, and maybe even a chariot in there at the White Lions to help whittle them down. Just a lot of options there. So this is, I'm adding this up in my head. It's just, it's nerve-wracking. He's got a charge, a flank, 2 banners, and a rake. So he's starting with 5 combat res. I've got 7 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. So we get in a challenge with the White Lion champion. And because I don't have the Ramhorn helm, that's not as big deal as normal. But again, I'm thinking, I kind of think I should do 4 or 5 wounds. The problem is, if I do 4 or 5 wounds, it doesn't matter. Either way, I'm going to lose combat by 1. I'll be on a 7 without a reroll. I'm either going to stick or run, and if I run, they're going to run me down almost certainly. So over here on the right, he took his mage out of the Spear Elves unit, and he's just hanging out back there. The bolt throwers pick on the chariot that had rallied after breaking from combat. Magic and shooting takes off a Minotaur. And after combat, the Doombull whiffed. Now, the thing that makes a Doombull so nice, not only is the Ramhorn helm, it's the always strikes first sword, because he gets to re-roll hits. But against High Elves, I can't re-roll to hit, and I just fluffed my hits. I think I did 1 wound, maybe 2. I think I only did 1. Basically, I needed a 4 in order to stick, and I couldn't do it, of course. So the Doom Bull is gone. I think that's the game. I mean, look at it. I might be able to get these Dragon Princes, but the rest of his army is just hanging back. And why do I have to deal with them? My chair. That made me sad. So Beastmen turn 3. Minotaurs and a chariot go into his Dragon Princes. Very confident about that fight. And then I charged my BSB and my Minotaurs, and it would have been in the flank of his White Lions, and he fled. And it actually surprised me. In hindsight, it was a great move. I mean, look where he's at. He's got a nice battle line formed up there. But I thought I'd hit him in the flank, chop up just a bunch of them, and then he would be stubborn 8. And then I would just have to hope to break him, because otherwise I have Swordmasters coming in my rear. And even if I did break him, I probably, running D6, the Swordmasters would still probably come in my rear. So, that was, I don't know, but that's how it ended up. The downside is his Swordmasters are now lined up for a flank charge into my Minotaurs. This angle doesn't really look like it, but it was. So after combat, yeah, the Minotaurs chopped up the Dragon Princes. We didn't break them in combat. They just ate them. They're not even close. The trader on the left finally killed the last of the Shadow Warriors. So for the most part, he has a nice solid battle line, and I'm in trouble. Until this happens. Well, no, I'm still in trouble. The White Lions with this Battle Standard Bearer needed a 10 to rally. Maybe they have the Standard of Discipline, and he's Leadership 9. And on a 10, they failed. And of course, the Battle Standard Bearer was fleeing, so they don't get a reroll. And then they fled, well, pretty far, so if you look at him. And what makes that really dangerous for him is that my leftmost chariot can see him, and he's within my charge arc. So I can charge him. He'll rotate away from me, and he needs... It was either a 6 or a 7, and he'd be off the board. So both of us are thinking he may have just lost his Battle Standard Bearer and the unit of White Lions, which is wonderful. Because if you look on the right, his Swordmasters are in the flank of my Minotaurs, and that's just not going to go well for the Minotaurs. And then he beats them, he might overrun them, and then he's right in my business back here. So not looking good for the Beastmen. The only thing I've going for me here is my Doom Bull has a 4-up armor, 4-up ward. I'm going to make way with him. So he'll have 4 guys, meaning 6 attacks that can attack the unit, and then he'll have 4 guys, 6 attacks that have to go on my Battle Standard Bearer. That'll have a 6-up armor and a 4-up ward. So I'm hoping that I can save a lot of wounds that way, but he'll still have a charge. I guess he has a flank, but I have an extra banner. So he has a charge and a rank and the wounds that he's going to do. So really nervous, really nervous about that. So shooting in magic, he starts, picking on my my chariot. Wasn't quite able to kill it. And oh my, look at the right-hand side. The Swordmasters were hitting on 3s rerollable, wounding on 3s for my on my rank and file guys, and they were wounded on 4s on my Doom Bull. They only did 2 wounds to my rank and file and no wounds to my Gore Bull. I actually won combat, broke them, and they were steadfast. Broke them and then ran him down, only running D6 to his 2D6. Things could not have gone worse for the High Elves, because when the Swordmasters broke, the Spear Elves were within 6 inches, and they failed their panic and ran towards the board edge. And that was his turn. It's just hard to fathom that happening. Swordmasters into the flank of Minotaurs, and they lost and got ran down. The game just swung, because the Chariot's going to charge White Lions, the Minotaurs are going to charge the Spear Elves. They both have to flee. The White Lions, if they roll a 6, they're off the table, and the Spear Elves, if they roll a 7, they're off the table. The Minotaurs can redirect into the Mage, and he's going to have to run, or else I'm probably going to get him. And he probably won't go off the table, but he is not in a good position. Oh, and I diagrammed it for you. So crazy happenings on the table. We go to the Beastmen. I do my charges, and son of a gun, he rolls a 5 for the left and a 6 for the right. He is exactly 1 inch on the table with both of those units. I could have cried. I redirected into his mage. He fled. I charged whatever into his spirit elves. They fled. He just ran the hell away, and I don't blame him. Darn it! Darn it! I think I said darn it like 30 times. Darn it! We go to High Elf turn 5, and of course everything rallies. Did I say darn it? Then, of course, now he's getting poised. He's magic. Of course, the bolt throwers took this guy out. They're all the way across the table, but 48 inches is a long way, so they take the last wound off of the bolt thrower. His Fury of Canes the Fury of Canes spells are weakening the Minotaur unit. Go to Beastmen turn 5. I'm not sure what I want here. I'm moving up so I can maybe get some charges, but there's just a lot of danger. I don't know. I can charge the Spirit Elves maybe. Go to High Elf turn 6. My turns are fast because I have no shooting, no magic. He moves like you can see. And I can tell you, I'm going to finish his turn, but when it came to my next turn, what was killing me was I really wanted to charge the White Lions with 2 chariots and my Minotaurs. I wanted it so badly. But the problem is if those chariots didn't make it, or if they whiff their impact hits, the White Lions win that combat. But if the chariots hit and hit hard, he's only going to get a certain number of attacks, because every kill I get reduces his attacks, and my Minotaurs could eat the White Lion unit and the Battle Standard Bearer. That is so tempting for me. Anyway, so during shooting and magic, he picks on a chariot. He really picks on this unit. Really, really picked on that unit. So now I don't want to charge in with them. So what I do is on the left, I just can't do it. I take the Minotaurs into his bowmen instead, because that I can almost certainly win. And it just didn't seem worth it going against the White Lions. You just don't know what can happen there. On the right, I charge my Gorbel out of the Minotaur unit, because the Minotaur's sitting with only 2 wounds left. Take a chariot in with him. Basically, with those 2 things, I'm almost certain to win combat, and then he's either going to break or not. And it didn't seem worth it risking the other chariot with only 1 wound left, or risking that last Minotaur. So there's that one. That's not a good place to be if you're a High Elf, by the way. There's that. That's probably the best picture I have up close of his Spear Elves. This is just a beautifully painted army. And so I get the points for the bowmen. I don't get the points for the Spear Elves. They stick. And there's the game. We added up, and with the Blood and Glory, nobody won that. And it ended up being a 10-10 draw. So what a fantastic game. I mean, so far I'm 2 for 2 in this tournament in terms of being matched up with really nice, balanced armies and great opponents, and just really fun games so far. So I hope you can appreciate the fun tactical stuff that was going on in this one. For the tournament, I'm not doing horribly, but I'm not doing well. 25 out of 40 possible points. I assume I'm probably mid-pack somewhere. But that's okay. I didn't really expect this list to overpower a lot of armies. Kudos to my opponent for bringing such a beautifully painted army and bringing a list that I think it shows you're a good general when you can show up with a list like this, because I think somebody that didn't know what they were doing would just get steamrolled. I think this is not a very forgiving High Elf list, and kudos to him for playing it well. So anyway, that's it for Game 2. Hope you enjoyed it.